You put your leftovers away believing they're safe.
The lid clicks shut. The refrigerator hums softly. Dinner for tomorrow is taken care of. But what if the container holding your food is slowly contaminating it? For seniors especially, certain plastic containers can leach chemicals linked to hormone disruption, heart stress, and kidney damage. Today, we are uncovering 9 food storage container brands you should avoid at all costs, along with the 2 that are actually worthy of your trust.
Number 9 on the list, Rubbermaid.
Rubbermaid has been a familiar name for generations. Those red lids are almost a symbol of home cooking. Many of us grew up seeing them stacked in our parents' kitchens. The brand promises durability, convenience, and food safety, and millions of seniors rely on Rubbermaid to store meal prep and leftovers. Walk into almost any American household, and chances are you'll find at least one Rubbermaid container hiding in a cabinet. But here's what Rubbermaid doesn't highlight on the label. Independent laboratory testing has shown that some Rubbermaid containers, especially older lines and certain low-cost models still sold today, contain BPA and phthalates. These industrial chemicals are added to plastics to improve flexibility and appearance. The problem? They don't stay put. These chemicals migrate. They leach into food, particularly when containers are heated or when acidic foods like tomato sauce, citrus, or vinegar are stored for extended periods. A 2022 study published in Environmental Health Perspectives linked BPA exposure to higher blood pressure and increased cardiovascular strain. For seniors already managing hypertension or taking heart medication, this isn't a small concern. It's an added risk factor quietly sitting in the refrigerator. The study examined over 1,200 participants and found measurable increases in systolic blood pressure within just hours of BPA exposure. Now imagine this. You cook a large pot of homemade spaghetti sauce on Sunday, fresh tomatoes, aromatic garlic. You pour it into a Rubbermaid container, snap on the lid, and refrigerate it for the week. Day after day, that acidic sauce presses against the plastic walls. Tiny, invisible amounts of BPA seep into your food. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, but with every reheated meal, your body absorbs it. By Friday, you've unknowingly consumed multiple doses of chemicals you never agreed to ingest. Yes, Rubbermaid now offers BPA-free products. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many of those replacements use BPS or BPF instead. These are chemical cousins of BPA, and emerging research suggests they may be just as harmful, if not worse. The label says BPA-free, but the risk hasn't vanished. It's simply been renamed. Researchers at the University of Texas found that BPS can disrupt hormone signaling at even lower concentrations than BPA. Consumer complaints only add to the concern. Containers warping after microwave use, lids cracking or losing their seal, stains that never come out, evidence that the plastic is absorbing what you store inside. And when plastic absorbs, it also releases. That exchange goes both ways, and your food pays the price. One customer described opening a container that once held curry only to find the orange stain permanently embedded in the plastic walls. For seniors living on fixed incomes, Rubbermaid feels like a practical, affordable option. But the real cost may show up later, in extra doctor visits, medication changes, or worsening health conditions. A $5 container today could quietly contribute to thousands in medical expenses tomorrow. Isn't it strange how billion-dollar companies continue selling products with chemicals banned in Europe, yet still labeled safe in the United States? We'll reveal which containers truly protect your health, but that comes at the very end, so stay with us. Number 8. Glad. Glad is everywhere. Grocery stores, big box retailers, even dollar stores. The branding feels friendly and trustworthy. Press and seal, freezerware, ovenware, the names suggest strength, innovation, and safety. Glad wants you to believe their containers can handle everything, from hot casseroles to frozen soups. But lab testing tells a different story. Consumer advocacy groups have found that certain Glad containers release measurable levels of phthalates when exposed to heat. Phthalates are plasticizers used to soften rigid plastics, and they're known endocrine disruptors. That matters deeply for seniors. Hormone balance influences metabolism, mood, blood sugar control, and energy levels. Your thyroid, adrenal glands, and pancreas all rely on precise hormonal communication. Phthalates interfere with those signals, throwing your system off balance. Now imagine you're carefully managing type 2 diabetes. You watch what you eat, you plan your meals, you do everything right. And the container you trust is quietly working against you. You carefully portion your meals, you pack your diabetic-friendly lunches in Glad containers because they're easy to use and easy on the wallet. What you don't realize is that every time that container goes into the microwave, you're introducing an invisible factor into your blood sugar balance. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have linked phthalate exposure to insulin resistance. So even when your diet is disciplined and well-planned, your results can become unpredictable because of a container you never thought to question. There's another issue most people overlook: how quickly Glad containers wear down. Many customers report that after just a few dishwasher cycles, the plastic turns cloudy and scratched. Those marks aren't just cosmetic. Each scratch creates tiny grooves where bacteria can hide and where chemical leaching speeds up. A scratched container is no longer a safe container, and compromised plastic has no place near your food. Take an older Glad container and run your finger along the inside. Feel those rough ridges? That's degradation you can actually touch. Glad labels its products as microwave safe, but microwave safe doesn't mean chemical free. It simply means the container won't melt or visibly warp under heat. It says nothing about what unseen compounds may be transferring into your reheated meal. The FDA's microwave safe designation doesn't evaluate chemical migration at all. A 2021 consumer survey found that more than 60% of Americans over age 50 reuse plastic containers well past their intended lifespan. We wash them, stack them, store them for years. Every wash weakens the plastic, every use adds wear, and every meal stored inside carries slightly more risk than the last. For seniors with kidney concerns, this is especially alarming. The kidneys filter toxins from the blood. Adding unnecessary chemical exposure through everyday items like food containers increases the workload on organs that may already be under strain. Your kidneys don't get to retire. Why give them more work than they need? There are safer options, but we'll get to those at the end. First, you need to understand just how widespread this problem really is. Number 7. Snapware. Snapware built its reputation on one simple promise: lids that lock. The four-sided snap-down design feels reassuring. No leaks, no spills, no mess. For seniors storing soups, stews, or sauces, that secure seal feels like peace of mind. That satisfying click sounds like safety, But a tight seal doesn't guarantee safe materials.
Snapware's plastic containers have raised concerns due to their use of polycarbonate, a plastic historically made with BPA. While some product lines have shifted to BPA-free formulations, the replacement chemicals are still poorly understood. Compounds like BPS have been detected in polycarbonate alternatives and have shown similar hormone-disrupting behavior in lab studies.
The chemical industry calls them safe. Independent researchers aren't so confident. This becomes personal for seniors managing chronic conditions. Endocrine disruptors don't just affect reproductive hormones, they influence thyroid function, they alter cortisol levels, and they can interfere with medications designed to stabilize these systems.
If you take levothyroxine for thyroid issues or prednisone for inflammation, your dosage was calculated assuming your body wasn't absorbing plastic chemicals with every meal. These exposures introduce variables your doctor never factored in.
Snapware's crystal clear appearance adds to the problem. That clean, glass-like clarity comes from chemical additives that enhance transparency. These additives aren't inert, especially around food.
Fatty foods are particularly risky. Fat acts as a solvent, pulling chemicals out of plastic far more efficiently than water-based foods. Your leftover cheese, butter, or brisket isn't just sitting in the container, it's extracting compounds from it.
Customer reviews reveal another hidden issue. The locking mechanism creates stress points in the plastic. Over time, these areas develop hairline cracks. Cracks you can't see, but that allow bacteria to collect and chemicals to migrate more easily.
Ironically, the feature that makes Snapware appealing is also its structural weak spot. One reviewer describes storing homemade chicken broth in a Snapware container. After a week in the fridge, the broth developed a noticeable plastic taste. That wasn't imagination, it was chemistry. The food and the container had chemically interacted.
So ask yourself this: do companies prioritize your long-term health or their profit margins?
That's a question worth considering as we move down the list. Most people are never taught how to protect themselves from this, but we'll explain it clearly at the very end.
Number 6. Ziploc.
Ziploc containers are so common they almost fade into the background. They're in nearly every kitchen, they stack well, they're inexpensive. The Ziploc name has built decades of trust. When people think of food storage, Ziploc is often the first brand that comes to mind.
But familiarity does not equal safety.
Ziploc containers are made from polypropylene, a plastic often described as the safer option. But safer doesn't mean harmless. Independent testing shows that even polypropylene can shed microplastics when exposed to heat or physical stress. A 2023 study from the University of Nebraska found that microwaving polypropylene containers released millions of microplastic particles per square centimeter. Millions! Every single time you reheat a bowl of soup. For seniors, this is an emerging health concern that deserves serious attention. These microscopic plastic fragments are small enough to pass through the gut lining and enter the bloodstream. Once circulating, researchers have detected them in lung tissue, liver tissue, and even brain tissue.
Microplastics have now been found in blood samples across every age group studied. While long-term effects are still being investigated, early research links exposure to inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular damage.
Ziploc has also faced criticism for uneven quality control. Consumers report containers arriving with warped bottoms, lids that don't seal properly, visible defects, and seams that appear poorly fused. These aren't minor annoyances. They're contamination risks.
When a lid doesn't seal, moisture escapes and bacteria move in. A warped base creates uneven heating in the microwave, leading to hot spots that accelerate chemical release. Poorly fused seams trap food particles, creating perfect breeding grounds for mold and harmful bacteria.
For seniors with weakened immune systems, these risks are very real. A contaminated container can lead to gastrointestinal illness that spirals into dehydration, hospitalization, and serious complications. What starts as leftover lasagna can end in an emergency room visit.
The CDC estimates that foodborne illness costs Americans over $15 billion every year in medical expenses and lost productivity. Adults over 65 account for nearly 60% of food-related hospitalizations and roughly 80% of deaths from foodborne disease. And yet, no one talks about the role food containers play in this equation. Why do you think the same companies selling these products are often the ones funding the safety studies? Is that coincidence or something more? Stay with us. The full picture comes together at the very end. If this information helps you stay safer in the kitchen, consider subscribing. It's free, and it ensures you don't miss investigations like this.
Number 5. Sterilite.
Sterilite dominates the storage aisle. Their containers are inexpensive, stackable, and available in almost every size imaginable. For seniors living on fixed incomes, Sterilite feels like the smart choice. Why spend more when you can buy a 20-piece set for under $15?
But sometimes low cost comes with hidden trade-offs.
Sterilite containers are made from polypropylene, but not all polypropylene is created equal. Budget plastics often contain more recycled material and higher levels of residual manufacturing chemicals.
Those residues don't always stay in the plastic. Especially when containers are new, they can off-gas into the air and transfer into food.
Think about the sharp chemical smell when you open a new set of plastic containers. That isn't nothing. That's volatile organic compounds escaping the plastic. You breathe them in, and when you store food inside, your food absorbs them too.
That new plastic smell is your nose trying to warn you.
Sterilite's low price positioning means compromises are made somewhere. Thinner walls, less extensive quality testing, faster production cycles that don't allow plastics to fully cure before packaging. The result is a container that looks functional but carries unseen risks.
What seems like a bargain is actually a trade-off you never knowingly accepted.
Customer complaints frequently mention warping. Containers left in hot cars or washed in high-temperature dishwashers lose their shape. A warped container is stressed plastic, and stressed plastic releases chemicals more easily. Heat accelerates polymer breakdown, turning everyday use into a slow degradation process.
There's another concern many seniors don't consider. When food containers are stored in the same cabinets as medications, chemical vapors can create small enclosed environments. While the risk may be low, it isn't zero. And for anyone managing multiple prescriptions, every variable matters. Your medication shouldn't be absorbing fumes from storage bins.
Sterilite promises affordable organization, but that promise may come with a hidden cost measured in chemical exposure and long-term health consequences. They want your money, but have they earned your trust? Don't go anywhere. The solution comes at the very end, and it may change how you store food forever. Number 4 on our list is Tupperware.
Tupperware, the original icon of food storage. For decades, Tupperware parties were social gatherings, neighbors laughing, snapping lids, and marveling at those famous burping seals and lifetime guarantees. Your grandmother likely owned Tupperware. Your mother almost certainly did. And there's a good chance some of those very containers are still sitting in your kitchen today, passed down like family heirlooms.
And that's exactly where the problem begins. Tupperware made before the early 2010s almost certainly contains BPA. The company didn't move away from BPA until consumer pressure and growing regulatory concern forced the issue. If you're using containers that are more than 15 years old, you're using products designed during a time when BPA was considered perfectly acceptable.
That avocado green container from the 1970s isn't a charming keepsake, it's a potential health risk.
But even modern Tupperware deserves a closer look. In 2023, Tupperware filed for bankruptcy, citing falling sales and operational challenges. When companies face financial strain, quality control is often one of the first things to suffer. Cheaper suppliers are chosen, manufacturing is outsourced, inspection standards are relaxed to speed up production. The Tupperware being sold today is not the same product your grandmother trusted. Consumers have reported newer containers arriving with strong chemical odors, uneven plastic thickness, and lids that don't align properly. These aren't minor defects, they're warning signs of a manufacturing process under pressure, signals that should make any health-conscious senior stop and think.
The name is familiar, the quality is not.
The emotional attachment to Tupperware is understandable. These containers hold memories, holiday leftovers, family gatherings, recipes passed down through generations. But nostalgia doesn't cancel out chemistry. A container that held potato salad in 1985 has spent decades degrading, off-gassing, and becoming less stable. The memories are priceless, the plastic is not.
For seniors managing blood pressure, BPA exposure is especially concerning. Research published in the journal Hypertension found that BPA exposure is associated with higher systolic blood pressure, even at levels below current safety limits. The study observed measurable increases within just 2 hours.
The safety margin is much thinner than most people realize. Small exposures add up over time, day after day, year after year.
Have you noticed how companies quietly reformulate products without explaining what changed? One chemical is removed only to be replaced by another that hasn't yet been fully studied. The cycle repeats, and consumers shoulder the risk. You become the test subject in an experiment you never agreed to join.
Most people never learn how to step out of that cycle, but you will if you stay until the end. Number 3 on our avoid list is Sistema.
Sistema is a New Zealand-based brand that has gained traction in the U.S. through discount stores and online marketplaces. Bright colors, snap-on clips, stackable modular designs. It appeals to organization lovers and budget-minded shoppers alike.
It looks cheerful, it looks clever, but good design doesn't guarantee safe materials.
Sistema containers are made from polypropylene, but the quality varies widely across products. Independent testing has found that some Sistema items release measurable levels of antimony, a metalloid used during plastic manufacturing.
Antimony exposure has been linked to digestive upset, heart rhythm disturbances, and lung irritation. It's also classified as a possible carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer.
For seniors with heart conditions, this is not a trivial issue. Even low-level exposure can aggravate arrhythmias and interfere with medications like beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Your food container should not be complicating your treatment plan.
The container in your refrigerator shouldn't be working against the pills in your medicine cabinet.
Sistema's signature locking clips raise another concern. Many customers report clips snapping off after repeated use. Once the lid no longer seals, the container stops being storage and becomes exposure.
Unsealed food absorbs odors, bacteria, and airborne contaminants. A container that fails early doesn't just waste money, it puts your health at risk. What seemed like a smart buy becomes landfill within months.
Sistema's quality control has raised red flags across online reviews. Customers report containers arriving already scratched, lids that never quite line up, plastic that develops a strange sticky film after washing. These aren't rare complaints, they're repeating patterns, and when hundreds of people describe the same problems, it's not user error, it's manufacturing shortcuts.
Consider the journey these containers take. From factories in New Zealand to American store shelves, Sistema products pass through warehouses, shipping containers, distribution centers, and countless handling points. Along the way, they're exposed to heat swings, pressure, and potential contamination. With every mile traveled, maintaining strict quality control becomes harder. By the time a container reaches your kitchen, it has already endured more stress than most people realize.
Why do the cheapest products so often cause the biggest problems? Is it coincidence or a calculated gamble that you'll never trace health issues back to a $2 container?
We'll show you which containers truly protect your health, but that information comes at the very end.
Number 2 on the list, Fit and Fresh.
Fit and Fresh presents itself as a wellness brand. Even the name signals health and vitality. Their containers feature portion control markings and are marketed to dieters, meal preppers, and fitness-minded consumers. For seniors managing weight or blood sugar, Fit and Fresh feels like a helpful partner in staying healthy.
But appearances can be deceiving.
Despite the health-focused branding, Fit and Fresh containers are made from standard plastics with no meaningful safety certifications. The portion markings on many products are printed using inks that, in some cases, contain heavy metals such as lead and cadmium. While the ink isn't meant to touch food, real-world use creates indirect exposure. Containers are stacked, rubbed together, washed repeatedly. Ink wears down, ink flakes, ink transfers.
Lead exposure is especially dangerous for seniors. Even small amounts can contribute to cognitive decline, kidney damage, and weakened bones. Worse still, lead doesn't leave your body easily. It accumulates, settling into bones and brain tissue over decades. Today's exposure becomes tomorrow's health crisis.
A container marketed to help you eat better could be quietly working against you. Fit and Fresh containers also struggle with heat. Customers report warping after being left in hot cars or washed in dishwashers, even on the top rack. Once warped, surfaces become uneven, allowing food residue to collect and bacteria to thrive.
What's meant to be a convenient, healthy lunch solution turns into a contamination risk before you ever take a bite. The irony is hard to ignore.
Seniors choosing Fit and Fresh are trying to do the right thing. They're managing portions, planning meals, taking control of their health. They deserve products that support those efforts, not packaging that undermines them through hidden risks. Good intentions deserve real protection, not clever marketing.
A 2020 survey found that nearly 70% of American seniors are actively working to improve their diets to manage chronic conditions. They're reading labels, measuring portions, preparing meals ahead of time. But almost no one tells them to evaluate their containers. No one mentions that the vessel may be just as important as what's inside it.
What's the worst food container failure you've experienced? Share it in the comments.
Don't skip the section that actually protects you. It's coming at the end. Number 1 on our avoid list, Gladware.
Gladware earns the top spot for a reason. This isn't the same as Glad's reusable containers. Gladware is the disposable line, designed for single-use convenience, but often reused by budget-conscious consumers, especially seniors trying to stretch their food dollars.
The containers look durable enough to reuse. That's the trap.
Gladware is made with thinner plastic and fewer stabilizing additives than reusable containers. It's engineered to survive one use, not repeated heating, washing, and storage cycles.
The first use is generally safe. The second use introduces risk. By the third or fourth reuse, the plastic has been stressed by heat, detergent, and physical wear. Its structure begins to break down, releasing harmful substances into your food. Microplastic shedding from Gladware increases dramatically with reuse. A 2024 study from Duke University found that repeatedly microwaved disposable containers released up to 12 million microplastic particles per serving.
12 million?
In a single meal.
Now multiply that by weeks, by months, by years.
And that's why Gladware sits at number 1.
That level of exposure is hard to wrap your head around.
Imagine swallowing 12 million microscopic plastic particles every single time you reheat dinner.
And Gladware's problems don't stop there.
After just a few uses, basic seal integrity starts to fail. Lids that snap tight on day 1 become loose and unreliable by day 5. Once that seal is compromised, your food is exposed to refrigerator bacteria, cross-contamination from raw meats, and odor transfer from nearby items. One day it's roast beef, the next day it tastes like the onion stored 3 shelves away. The container hasn't just failed, it's working against you. For seniors taking blood thinners like warfarin, microplastic exposure introduces yet another uncontrolled variable. Microplastics can trigger inflammatory responses that interfere with how medications are metabolized. Your doctor carefully adjusts your dosage based on known factors. Plastic contamination isn't one of them. Yet it can still affect INR levels, turning a safe reuse decision into a medication imbalance.
Gladware's marketing encourages you to throw it away. Your budget encourages you to reuse it. You see a sturdy-looking container and think, why toss this out?
The answer is simple. Because reusing it may cost you far more in health consequences than the few cents you save. The savings are imaginary, the risks are not. Why do companies design containers that look durable but are meant to be disposable? Because they want repeat purchases. And if reusing them makes you sick, that burden falls on you, not them. The profit motive explains everything.
Most people never learn which containers actually protect them.
You will, starting right now.
Safe Pick 1: Pyrex Glass Containers.
Pyrex has been making glass food storage for more than a century, and for good reason. Unlike plastic, glass does not leach chemicals, absorb odors, or degrade over time. What you store in Pyrex stays exactly as you intended, pure and unchanged. Glass is inert. It doesn't react with acidic foods, fatty foods, or heat. Pyrex containers are made from borosilicate or tempered soda-lime glass, designed to handle temperature extremes. You can go from freezer to microwave to table using the same container without chemical migration, microplastic shedding, or hidden exposure. One container. Every step.
For seniors managing chronic conditions, Pyrex provides real peace of mind. Your food remains just food. Your blood pressure medication works as prescribed. Your diabetes management stays predictable. Nothing extra is entering the equation.
Pyrex lids are typically BPA-free plastic, and they rarely touch the food itself. Food contacts glass. Lids contact air. That separation matters.
Durability is another major advantage. Glass doesn't cloud, warp, or weaken. A single Pyrex set can last decades, outliving multiple plastic sets and saving money long-term.
Buy once, use forever. Cleaning is effortless. Tomato sauce, curry, beet salad, nothing stains. No lingering smells, no scrubbing mysteries. Just clear, clean glass every time.
And for seniors with vision challenges, glass offers instant clarity. You can see exactly what's inside without guessing or squinting at cloudy plastic. Pyrex puts your health ahead of convenience and ahead of corporate shortcuts. Safe Pick 2 OXO Good Grips Glass Containers. OXO is known for thoughtful, human-centered design, and their Good Grips glass containers deliver exactly that. They combine the chemical safety of glass with features designed specifically for comfort and ease, especially for seniors. The standout feature is the leak-proof silicone seal built into BPA-free lids. Unlike snap-on lids that require force, OXO lids close smoothly with minimal effort. No strain, no twisting, no fighting the container. Many can be closed with one hand, ideal for arthritis or reduced grip strength. OXO's glass is thermal shock resistant, meaning you can safely move from freezer to oven or microwave. Batch cook once, reheat all week, no container switching required. The containers stack neatly and offer crystal clear visibility, making refrigerator organization simple. No forgotten leftovers hiding in the back, no guessing games. Everything is visible, fresh, and accessible. OXO also stands behind its products with real customer support. Not a faceless brand, not a disappearing warranty. If something goes wrong, a real person helps make it right. For seniors who want both safety and ease of use, OXO Good Grips hits the sweet spot. Clean food, comfortable hands, reliable peace of mind. Not all food containers are created equal. Some quietly contaminate your meals. Others protect them. Now you know the difference. The chemicals hiding in cheap plastic are not worth the savings. Your heart, kidneys, and medications deserve better than risks disguised as convenience. The container you choose matters just as much as the food you put inside it. What's the worst container disaster you've ever experienced? Share it in the comments. I read every one. Subscribe now. And if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you're never caught off guard again.